You can spend a whole bunch of time and money putting in great food plots, and if your cover sucks, you still don't have deer except for the last 10 minutes of light. And that's not when we hunt. We're going to show you what our mobile hinge cut equipment setup is today for when you can't get a vehicle way back into the woods. I'll show you that here in 2 shakes. Subscribe to the channel if this is of any help to you. We appreciate your support. Here we go. All right, so here's the reason we are not bringing the truck way back here. It's supposed to be 37 today in Minnesota, and we don't have any snow. So what's gonna happen here to this food plot that I have to go through to get the truck out of here is it's gonna turn to peanut butter on top, and I don't wanna rut it up for the landowner. So I brought all the stuff up here when it was still frozen and dropped off a little base camp here. Some of you guys have seen the previous video that I did on my equipment for a hinge cut gig. I use Husqvarna cases because they have a nice rectangular bottom that doesn't move around in the truck. I love that. The steel cases I do not like because they had kind of a rounded bottom and they roll a lot easier. So I don't really appreciate that. That's my extra fuel right there. I won't bring that into the woods. I'll show you why in a second. That right there is my chainsaw safety tote. I've got extra chaps, extra helmets, extra bar for the chainsaw, extra chains. What else is in there? Extra wedges, a maul, just extra stuff that you might need that you drop out in the woods. But then this is my mobile setup. This is what will go with me, on me, or in my hands when I go back here. Oh, let's see. We had some logging done way in the back corner here on this property, and once they took the good timber out and left us kind of the junk, the smaller red maple and ash and that kind of stuff, we're going to go in there and chainsaw it because the regen didn't come back great in a couple of areas. So that's, I guess, one concept. Take the good stuff out first and then go and do your chainsaw work afterwards. So here we go on this. You can see I got the hinge cut habitat hook there. That's from Nick Nation. You can check out his website for that. The LeBonville chaps, I love those. That's what those are right there. I got a pair of the leather gloves, a couple of wedges, and at least a 3 or 4 pound maul. I've noticed a longer handle really goes on me pretty well in my pouch. I'll show you how I do that in a second here. That tool pouch right there. Okay, this I'm gonna give you a little pop quiz, but there are 2 absolutely essential items that are in that pouch besides where my wedges are gonna go. I'll give you a couple seconds to guess what those 2 things are. All right, here we go. I'm gonna show you. Item number 1, absolutely mandatory, brand new or sharpened chain. I go with brand new. It's really not worth it to me to rely on sharpened chains when I'm doing jobs for clients. So I just get a new chain and have a couple of them with all the time. Second one is obviously the scrunch. So those are the 2 items that are mandatory in that tool pouch. I like the little carpenter's tool pouch because that goes over my waist of my chaps. And then I have, sometimes I'm carrying a utility knife and paracord with me if I'm doing a detail job and we're doing travel corridor work, things like that. This is a logger's trick, okay? So this, yes, it's 2 bar and chain oil jugs, but when you get an empty, what you do is you rinse that out with a little bit of fuel, and then this is where you keep your chainsaw fuel. Okay, so that's my 50-to-1 right there. And then this is my cold weather bar and chain oil. And then just paracord between that, and that goes, nice over your shoulder. That's a great way to do those gigs where you're way back in the woods. That's how the loggers do it when they go out west and they're fighting fires for us. Thank you, loggers, for that. Wildland firefighters, appreciate your effort and your courage. Okay, this is something that I just started doing and I really like it. I'm bringing another pair of gloves and I'm putting them in my water here, my water cooler. Today I don't have any ice packs in there, but usually I do. It's 37-ish, 40 degrees today, so I'll just bring that with and it'll be nice and cold for me. But bringing the extra pair of gloves along, that's great, because when I get about halfway through this and I start throwing wood out of the way and things like that, it's got some frost on it. That leather on the other pair just gets wet, And you, of course, don't want to use wet stuff because then it's slippery. The Husky helmet, I like that one better than the Stihl one. Favorite tool in the whole deal here, we've got the 201T. That has been my go-to saw for years, and it's well worth the money. There's so much power in it. You know, there's a lot of guys that are gonna chime in and say you can't use that on the ground, but I've been using this thing on the ground forever. Obviously it helps to have experience. You know, I'm not the safety guy, I'm not the OSHA rep or anything like that, so you know, you guys can chime in the comments if you want to, but in my mind the logic does not, it's not feasible to say, hey, that's only safe to climb a tree and hang and dangle from a rope and use it with one hand. That's where it's the safest saw. That makes absolutely no sense to me when I have both feet square on the ground and I'm cutting with both hands on the saw. I don't know what kind of check your brain at the door that is, but maybe there's a good reason for it. Kickback is the only reason. I use low kickback chains, and I'm not stupid, and I don't cut with the tip of the bar, so I don't see any reason not to use this saw at all on the ground. I even put a 16-inch bar on it. That's the max that this saw can take, because I rarely, if ever, unless I'm doing firewood, use my bigger saw. Now here's another little tip for you. Why am I doing this today? Well, in northern climates, and I'm talking like zone 3 and 4, even zone 2, a lot of my clients, you know, they look up when is the best time to do these hinge cut projects, these projects where it's not great timber, but I do have some trees that are going to respond well to hinge cutting. It is a very, very good project to do because it is the biggest bang for your buck. Almost every time I'm on a property, what I find out is I find out a lot about the clients first before I design the place, but a big part of that is figuring out what their resources are to put into the property, monetary resources. And if I've got a guy that just doesn't have expendable income to put into his property, then by far the easiest and best thing for him to do is to do small nuggets of food near bedding and put water on the travel corridor and then enhance that travel corridor. It's dang near free except for the fuel and except for the earth blind water holes that I use that are different. They are better. I'm going to do a whole video on that. Use the black tanks, the corrugated galvanized tanks for years. Don't like them, and I have many reasons for that. But what I want you guys to understand about northern climates is usually when we get this weather, this 37 and sunny that we're getting today, there's still 2 feet of snow on the ground in the woods where you need to be cutting. When you get a blessing like this in Minnesota, in your mind, don't think of it as a day to get out the grill again or get out the smoker. Think of it as, I got to go improve my deer hunting. That's what you bought the property for. When you get these days like this, you can sleep in if you want. I mean, it's Christmas break, you know, the kids are home and everything, and it's all great. But when this sun comes up and it's getting almost as high as it's going to be right now, you know, the last half of the day when that cambium layer warms up, you want to be in the woods. You want to be running that hot saw and get it going. I mean, it is by far the biggest bang for your buck on a property. And if you don't have bedding, you won't have deer. And what I mean by that is you can spend a whole bunch of time and money putting in great food plots, and if your cover sucks, you still don't have deer except for the last 10 minutes of light. And that's not when we hunt. You know, some of the best properties that I've designed are the guys that said, you know what, I just don't want to do a huge amount of food plotting. I really don't want to put the time and resources in. I don't want to buy the equipment, and I get it. So I took it to heart when you said my property would run just as well, just with water holes, bedding areas, and travel corridors on purpose in the right spots. I went after it, and boy, did it change things. It is unbelievable daylight activity when everybody else is at the cafe at 8:30 saying they're going to wait until the evening post up or they're going to go push something. It's just getting good for me. And that is the best part about building your property correctly, is it'll work great from 9 to 3, just like it works the first half of daylight and the first half hour or the last half hour of daylight. It is such a benefit when you build bedding on purpose where they want to be. and they can use those travel corridors with cover, in cover, from bedding area to bedding area. Hey, if this is of any help to you, like, subscribe, share it out there on your social media platforms for me. And if you need help designing your property or doing jobs like this, give me a call, give me an email. That'll be at the end of the video here. Get out and enjoy creation, guys. Good luck this season, and God bless.